Hi, I'm Sophie. Today I'm going to teach you how to do headstand. Today we're going to learn how to do Paschimottanasana, or a forward fold. And today I'm going to be teaching you how to transition from chair pose through to a forward fold and back again. Today we're going to learn how to do Paschimottanasana, or a forward fold. And this is really brilliant for stretching out your hamstrings. So to start, we're going to take our legs out in front of us and remove the flesh from underneath the bottom. Now you might find that in this position that you sort of end up like this, with a rounded back and kind of not really able to sit forwards. The shoulders start to hunch up a little bit. If this is the case, it's just nothing to worry about, just means the hamstrings are a little bit tight. In which case I'd recommend either sitting on a yoga block, or if you don't have one of those, just grab a nice big book, pop it underneath your bottom and sit on the edge of it. And this just acts to tilt the pelvis forwards, so you can then sit up really nice and tall, and it stops you rounding up through the back. So either remaining on your block, or if you're not using the block, then removing the flesh from underneath. You're going to sit up nice and tall. Now if you know that your toes happen to be a little bit far away for you, which mine definitely were when I started, it's quite useful to grab either a yoga belt, or as I've got here, just the dressing gown cord. So you're just going to pop that around the end of your feet and have the ends of it ready for when we come into position. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, then we're going to inhale the hands up high to the sky. Exhale as you draw the belly in, and you're going to start to fold forwards. Now as you do this, it's really important that the hinge is going to come from your hips. So what you see most people doing here is this. You're trying to get your head down like this. So you end up rounding through the back, scrunching up your shoulders and being in a really uncomfortable position. What you actually want to achieve is the hinge here at the hips, so you're literally folding in half. So you're going to lead forwards with the chest, drawing in through the belly, keeping the spine really long. As you can see, the first thing to come down is my tummy, then my chest, and then my head. And then I'm going to grab onto the end of the feet, or perhaps hold the toes. And then we're going to inhale, look up, lengthen. Really lengthen out through the spine, draw in through the belly even more. And then exhale as you fold forwards. Breathing here for 5. However, if you couldn't get your toes, then this is when you're going to grab the strap. So inhale, hands up high. Exhale, take hold of your strap. And then again, you're going to inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale as you start to walk your hands down the strap. Perhaps you're just going to breathe here. And relax your head in line with your spine, looking towards your big toes. Making sure you keep the feet active at all times. And again, breathing here, 5. Belly draws in. 4. Chest reaches forwards. 3. Really using every exhale to fold a little bit deeper. So every inhale creates a little bit more length, so sit up even more. Every exhale folds you just a little bit further. And then when you've done your 5 breaths, again, we're going to inhale, look up, lengthen. Then exhale, release your grip. So that's how you do a basic forward fold or Paschimottanasana. So I'll just show you now one time through again. So inhaling, hands high. Exhale, fold forwards, perhaps grabbing the big toes, the outsides of your feet or your strap. And then inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale, fold forwards further, leading with the chest, spine is long. Coming all the way down. Breathing here for 5. If you've got a little bit more space, perhaps you can clasp the hands. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale as you release. So now I'm going to show you how we get into that through a vinyasa, starting from Sun Salutation A. So if you just pop your props to one side for a moment, and then we're going to come up to stand. And again, you're going to start at the front of your mat, toes together, heels together. Then inhale, hands high, look up towards the sky. Exhale, fold forwards, drawing in through the belly. Inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back to high plank position. Either drop the knees or chaturanga. Up dog or low cobra. And come all the way back to downward facing dog. Then from here, to come through to seated, you've got a couple of options. One is that you're going to step into seated, or 2, that you're going to jump. So to step in, you're going to bend the knees, look towards your hands, and then step into a cross-legged position, just as you would if you were sitting down cross-legged. Cross the ankles, And then roll over the ankles, come onto your bottom. Take your legs out in front of you, ready to start your forward fold. So you're going to jump into the position, the same thing, downward facing dog, bend the knees, look forwards towards the hands, cross legs, and then take the legs out in front of you. And again, remove the flesh from under the bottom, inhale, hands high, exhale, hold your strap or your feet, inhale, look up, lengthen, exhale to fold. Breathe in here, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale, release your grip. And you can either then move here onto another position, or if you're coming through vinyasa, you're going to cross your legs, roll over the ankles, come onto your hands, and then you can step or jump back to high plank, and then either drop the knees or chaturanga, up dog or low cobra, and all the way back, downward facing dog. Joining me today to learn forward fold or Paschimottanasana. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to comment below, please do, and thanks to those of you who already have. Today I'm going to teach you how to do headstand. Headstand is one of the basic inversions that we do in yoga and is really, really good for getting oxygen to the brain, and also will make you feel very energized after you practiced it. However, it is very important that you practice this correctly, and although it's called headstand, you should actually have a substantial amount of the weight on your forearms rather than on your head. If done incorrectly, headstand can cause compression through the spine, so it's really, really important that you learn in the way that I'm going to teach you and build the core strength and the arm strength that is essential for this before actually coming up into headstand. So to learn our headstand, there are multiple types of headstand, but we're going to take the traditional headstand where you interlace the fingers and make a base like this. You may have also seen other headstand practices where you come down and put your head down. This is called tripod headstand, but we're not going to learn that one for today. So in order to come into our headstand, we first of all want to measure out how far apart your arms are going to be in this position. The traditional way of doing this is to hold on to the elbows and use that as a measurement distance. However, there is much research today that shows that this is perhaps not the best way, and although you can do it this way, I prefer to kind of look at my shoulders and then down to my elbows and see where shoulder width apart is, as everybody is in different proportion. You're then going to interlace your hands, like so, and place your hands on the back of your head. So again, this can be quite confusing where you're going to put your hands, maybe here, here, here. I like for women to think of where you would tie your ponytail generally, or just where the back of the head starts to curve. So you're going to place your hands back here before we actually come down, and you want your hands to completely support the back of your head here. So they're not going to be resting on your hands, but just as it acts as a support. So placing the elbows down shoulder width apart, we then interlace the hands and place the hands on the back of the head where it starts the curve. You're then going to place your head down onto the floor. And again, it's important to get the placement of the head right. You don't want to be on the back of the head, but you also don't want to be on your forehead. And you want to ensure that the neck stays nice and long. So I'll just show you how it would be done incorrectly. So this would be wrong, where my chin is actually touching my chest and my neck is all scrunched up. This would also be wrong, where the back of my head is almost on my back and the neck is all scrunched up the other way. What we want to achieve is a nice long neck where there's no compression through the spine here. From here, we're going to tuck our toes, just like you're going to come into downward dog, and come into a downward dog on our head. So you might feel here, you've got quite a lot of pressure on the head. If that's the case, what I'd really like you to do is press through your forearms. Okay, really, really lifting up so that you could actually lift your head up off of the ground if you wanted to. So I'll show you this here in your downward dog, and then you can actually lift your head up out of your hands completely. So that is how much you should be engaging through the upper arms and also through the core to allow the head to lift up off of the mat. Now, of course, when we do the headstand, we are actually going to keep it down on the mat, but I just want you to get that feeling of how much the arms and the core are working to stabilize yourself here. So, from here, come back into your downward dog, and perhaps just play with breathing here. If this still feels like you've got a lot of weight on the head, then for today, I would just like you to stay here and work on lifting the head up and popping it back down on the mat. The next stage, if you start to feel comfortable here, is to bend one knee and just bring it in, tap your chest. And then bend the other knee, tap the chest. Do this a few times, just getting used to the feeling of lifting the feet up off of the floor. And then if you want to progress further, you're going to start to walk your feet up towards your head as much as you can. Now, the further up that you can get your feet towards your face, the easier this is going to become for you to come up into the full headstand. So if your feet are all the way back here, then as you can see, I've got an awfully long way to go up to come into headstand. If I lift a leg, how am I going to get up? However, if I walk my feet up further, I can actually get my hips over the top of my shoulders, and then I can lift one foot and literally just start to use the balance to lift my toe up off of the floor. But to do this, you need to be quite flexible, so don't worry if that's not where you are today. If that's not the case for you, we're just going to tuck the toes, walk up as far as you can, engage your core, and start to bend one knee again, bend the other knee, and then try to take both knees in to the chest. Now I just want you to stay here in this little wall, maybe doing a few things like taking the legs out wide. You can kick the feet a little bit and come back down. And this is what I'd like to call owning your headstand, okay? So when you're really stable in that position, it means that you are using your core enough that you're ready to come all the way up into the full headstand. If you're wobbling in that position, it means you're not strong enough to come all the way up, and you're using momentum by kicking up, which is where you're going to injure yourself. So to come into the full pose, we're going to interlace the hands again, measure out the distance, come into our down dog, walk the feet up, bend the knees in, and then slowly start to use your core to unravel, coming all the way up, to balance here for 10 to 15 breaths. When you've done that, you're going to come out the same way you came in, into a ball, and all the way back down onto the mat. Okay? So this might take you a week, it might take you a year, it might take you several years to accomplish, but don't worry about it, just keep practicing. And while you are at this stage, remember always to be by a wall. So it's important when you're learning headstand that all of this practice, although I haven't got a wall here, you're against a wall. So the back of your head and your back are facing the wall. And you just imagine this is your wall here. You have your head down and then do the practices as I've just demonstrated. However, when you're starting to balance and you can balance by the wall, the next step is obviously to come to the middle of the room. Just come into your headstand. And the way to get out of it is to come into a forward roll. So you see people come up and then just go straight the way over, and you can really hurt your back. So when you feel you're going to start to fall, what I want you to do is tuck into a ball, tuck your chin in, and then you'll roll out nice and gently, and you won't injure yourself. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed learning headstand, and thank you to those of you who have commented below. Please do comment more if you'd like to. Today we're going to talk about tripod headstand. In one of my previous videos we did the normal headstand where you take the hands on the back of the head and you place the forearms down on the mat. This one's slightly different because we're going to have the head down on the mat still, but we're going to have the hands in a position like this so the elbows are a 90-degree angle, very similar to in crow pose. So to start preparation for our tripod headstand, we're going to come down onto the mat and you're going to place your head down onto the mat so that you get the sort of middle of the head about here, centrally on your mat. From there, you're going to make sure that your hands are further enough back so that you can create this 90-degree angle with the elbow here. You don't want to be so far forward that the elbows are pointing back like this, or so far back that you can't really press down through the wrists. It's a very important component of this pose, is really pressing through the hands and obviously engaging your core as well. And if you can't press down enough, you're going to take too much weight into the head, and this can cause compression through the spine, which of course we don't want. So, coming down, popping the head onto the mat, walk your hands back until they're at a 90-degree angle. And then you're just going to maybe hang out here for a little bit and start to draw in through the belly, engage through the core and press into your hands. Feel the shoulders engage and try to take the weight out of your head. You should feel light pressure on the head, but there should not be any pain. And if you do feel any pain on the top of the head or through the neck, please come out straight away, and as this pose may not be suitable for you. So from there, we're then going to come into a downward facing dog. So coming into your downward dog, we're going to again press into the hands, engage through the core. You're just going to breathe here, under 3 to 5 breaths, however long is comfortable. And again, that may be where you're staying today. This is a pose that takes a while to cultivate, and it also takes a while to get used to the positioning on the head and through the hands. So do have a go a few times with this, and then if you feel like moving on to the next step, you can take it from there. So the next step after this is to come into your down dog, and then just start to tap one knee to the chest, other knee, and then placing one knee up onto your upper arm, and the other knee. Bring the toes together to touch. Balancing here in kind of a head down crow pose, again for 3 to 5 breaths, and then make your way back out. So, if you found that comfortable, you then can start to move on to the next stage of the pose. However, this is much easier to balance in this pose than it is coming all the way up. And I don't want anybody to kick up. You want to use core strength to curl out a little ball to come all the way up. So you might want to practice just that for maybe a week or so. And when you feel confident, then move on to the next step. Obviously, you would be practicing this always with a wall in front of you. I've not got the wall here, but just imagine that my wall is here. And if I did fall forwards, the wall would catch me and stop me from falling over in any way. So for the next step, I find it nice to actually roll over my mat a little bit, just to give your head a little bit of extra padding. You're going to take your hands down onto the mat again, and come up into that half crow pose. And then you're going to start to draw the knees into the tummy, and come up into this little ball. You're going to work here, and just try and hold again for 3 to 5 breaths. And then making your way slowly back down. So before even attempting to roll up into the full thing, you really want to feel confident in that position. And to be confident in that position, you're pressing firmly through the hands and really engaging through the belly. Finally, if you want to come all the way up, you're going to do the exact same thing again. Coming into your tripod, and then draw the knees in, and slowly curling yourself up. And then coming out the same way, curling yourself all the way back down. When you're up there at first, you might just be coming up, coming down straight away. You might try and stay there for 3 to 5 breaths, and hopefully eventually maybe 15 breaths. Thank you very much for trying tripod headstand with me today. I hope that you found the instructions clear and useful, but if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask below, or if you'd like to subscribe, you can do so above. Thank you very much, and namaste.